Just
Hi friends, this is Movie Recap. Today we're gonna be doing the movie recap of Surf, or Son of a Rich, from 2019. At first, we see an electronic music party in which a guy seduces a girl and offers her some drinks. The girl wanted champagne and he offered all that she wanted. The girl, whose name is Anissa, says that she never had been in a car like that. In the end, the girl got out of the car and rode alone. He called one of his girlfriends and even was stopped by the police. He gave some money to the cop, but the cop didn't want it and he held on to the car to go later for an examination. Next, we go to a detention center where our protagonist is being held. He was having fun and didn't mind being in jail that night. Two old guys started negotiating his arrest, but our guy even asked for a drink. One of the old guys, who was the dude's boss, got him out of jail and threatened to sack him, but our guy just made him realize that he wouldn't be earning good money without him. The next day, we see the guy's father arguing with the young blonde about our protagonist. The father even said that he should have sent him to the army. They go to a very particular guy's home, a guy who was even faking his own suicide. This guy is like Sherlock Holmes on drugs, if you ask me. Oh, wait, Sherlock Holmes was always high, so this is clearly a 21st century Sherlock Holmes. The guy is a magician who plays tricks with them. The father finally refused and the blonde girl begged, but it didn't happen. Next, we see Grisha, who was running from a party and was shot by a dart. He somehow ended up at a barn, traveling through time and space. He transported himself into another realm, another reality. In this new place, dream or whatever, the guy is in trouble and is being observed by everyone in town. The guy is a slave, and the master of that twisted reality was preparing to whip him, but our protagonist was still challenged, and they started flogging him multiple times. A redhead guy helps him out, but our protagonist asks for a phone and to make a call. He doesn't realize that there are no phones and no internet and that he is not in Moscow. That dart had definitely put him under some sort of spell. He ran through the town like a crazy guy and was chased and whipped by a lot of people. He fell into a swamp. The guy almost drowned, but the redhead and his wife saved him, and even in that state he was still complaining about his clothes, screaming, and not wanting to eat, like a child. He started complaining about reality, mentioning Donald Trump and other stuff. They started treating him as a crazy guy in the end. Grisha even asked for a lawyer, but that wasn't going to help. He was going to be hanged and executed alongside other villagers. At the last moment, a lady with a beautiful dress appeared and asked for his release. The girl said that as her birthday and wished the man to live. Grisha promised he would change, and the villagers started seeing the girl as a savior. Grisha was now realizing things. He was in silence for the first time. The first thing he asked for was dried pants. We then see a guy catching a drone in a futuristic stable full of cameras and computers. It's like a war room, where we see that everything is a big stage that the crazy gut had set up to help Grisha's father. This was the ultimate solution of the father, and he was drinking while he saw his son being beaten up like a peasant in Age of Empires 2. Grisha was talking to himself and trying to accept the fact that he was a stableman, not a guy in Moscow. We also see that everyone there is an actor, and some of them even are very friendly with each other. It's a big stage where everything is scripted by the crazy blonde guy. I can't imagine how much could this thing cost. Grisha was still talking to himself, so the redhead dude, who was a philosopher, tried to put him on track. Grisha started in a psychotic state because the actor said the word movie, so it was suspicious for him. Our guy started to realize that he needed to communicate in a way that the people from that village could understand him. He asked for a car, and that wasn't going to happen. Forced to sleep in a barn, and put in tasks that he had never done before. The trees are full of cameras and Grishka even suggests killing the master, but the idea doesn't flourish among the peasants. The father is still really skeptical about the experiment. Grishka starts getting even with his tasks, and that way he starts to think that he has to stand out for other people and not just about himself. He tried to see the girl and was violent to her. His mind was about to explode. The incident ended with him saying that it was a glitch, and with his father still not believing in the experiment, trick, or whatever the whole thing was. Grishka later went to apologize to the girl. This is how the crazy guy was able to convince the father that there was progress going on. Later that night, and with Grishka being happy, he started dancing in a different rhythm than everyone. He seemed to know a very old Russian dance particularly well. Everyone joined the party, except a girl. Grishka comes close to her and tells her that he has no one to talk to in the 21st century and that people say that he is a demon. The girl agrees to talk to him and empathizes with him, so he started telling him a lot of stories about the 21st century. The girl was the one who was killed, and the idea was to slowly plant the idea on his head, by his friend the redhead. He tries to tell him that a girl is drowning, and he goes to the lake and saves her. Griishka has her in her hands like he is a hero and takes her into the carriage like a good peasant would do with a lady like her. He later goes and changes his clothes, to then return to the party. The next day, the crazy guy explains to the blonde chick that he needs more human interaction and that she should spend time with him during the experiment because he likes her and needs to communicate with someone. The parents start talking to each other, in a more relaxed mood, even remembering Griishka's youth, and that allows them to empathize with him at the same time. Griishka is receiving, fighting with one of the workers of the master, whips, and fearing for his life. The crazy guy was on the cameras hoping for Griishka to punch the guy, but he refused. He couldn't change who he was at heart and started going out with the blonde girl because he knew they could communicate well with each other. He even steals a cake for her and is willing to accept the punishment that the cook lady would have given him for stealing. Griishka comes to the point of confessing his biggest secrets to the blonde girl, totally opening up with her while a drone eagle starts failing. Lisa, the actress, was ordered to pull out of the place because the drone was going to fail at any minute. But in the end, the drone didn't fail and the experiment was allowed to continue. Griishka caught two of the actors having sex in the carriage, and it fucked his mind heavily because they were family in the play. Later, Griishka took Lisa to an Italian restaurant that he had designed with candles and fabrics. He had cooked some food for her, and by the looks of her, she hadn't had any of that before. Griishka cooked the food because he had noticed that she was sad 2 days earlier. He continued communicating with Lisa and had an epiphany about some things in his life. Lisa, then, kissed him and the project was done. Later, the actress who slept with her presumed sibling, who was Lisa's boyfriend before, appeared on a talk show announcing that in this type of project they exploited the actors. She had been sacked. They come up with a plan in which the premise is that the guy is too stupid to realize if it would be real. Meanwhile, he was living his love story with Lisa, and step by step also started realizing the place he was on without going crazy. This was necessary in order for the whole thing to end soon without the Russian cops showing up and shutting down the place because of what the actress had said on TV. Some actors go to the place and interpret Mongol fighters who enter a dispute with the villagers because they want to take the most beautiful girl. The actor takes the head of the guy from the town, but it was a trick as well. The intention was, in the end, for Griishka to fight with someone, which was his father's intention. Griishka's brain began to melt because he could never betray his principles. Lisa even screamed and it hurt Griishka a lot, but he just wasn't violent. At that moment, Griishka noticed something on the barn, the tie that was on the horse, and that was enough for him to realize where he was. He looked up and started watching the drone because he knew now that he was being watched. He called for an angel. He kept with the play and grabbed a stick to fight for the girl, just because he realized that that was what his father wanted. His father wanted him to be a hero. Later, the Russian police arrive at the play but there is nothing abnormal going on. And even though the Russian guys come with pointy guns to the place, the family acts as a normal family while they leave. Showing that they were all acting in a way, as well. Griishka took Lisa to the wilderness on a horse but ended up at a gas station. He was shot by a dart again and woke up in the 21st century again. He woke up as a more empathetic person, able to communicate with other people and admit his mistakes. He looked sad again but found two of the actors in a discotheque. He even apologized to them for being crazy and asked for Lisa because he was still in love with her. She was the only good memory he had by that point. The actors took him to a stable, where he found Lisa and figured out she was real all along. The father also married the blonde girl, and Griishka came into the marriage with Lisa. They even took some pictures together. Later, we see that the peasants are still arguing and that winter is cruel because the crazy guy and his crew are still in business. Do you think the punishment was severe or good? Let us know in the comments section. Have a look to the other videos, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a comment to help the channel. Thanks guys for watching, see you tomorrow.